Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another UFC fight prediction video. In this video, I'll be predicting the full-card fights for UFC 283, Teixeira versus Hill. So without further ado, let's get to our first fight on the card. So in our first fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Daniel Marcos versus Simon Oliveira, and how I see this one right here is I think Simon Oliveira is the more well-rounded fighter, but he doesn't really polish his skills up, or he needs to polish his skills up. I feel like striking-wise, he can a lot of times get very reckless and just throw stuff that has no purpose and is just ineffective. I mean, he got the energy to do it. It's not like he got to have. It's not like he's a guy that has bad cardio or a bad gas tank, but even still, it's not something you want to keep doing because at a higher level, they will make you pay. And likely that's going to be his path. Or say against wrestling, you do stuff like that. That's easy takedowns, which happened to him in the last fight. In this fight, he doesn't have to worry about getting taken down too much, if anything at all. That's not his biggest concern. But I just think the fact that I feel like he will need to maybe mix in the grappling to edge his fight for him. I feel the fact that he doesn't blend his or mix his takedowns in there well, or blend his striking with his wrestling or his wrestling with his striking, or even set up his takedowns by himself all that well. It just forces a lot of them. I just feel like that's going to cause him to have to struggle to get these takedowns, maintain those takedowns to this extent he needs to get a decision, maybe a stoppage or anything, or basically to win the fight. Now I just feel like on the field, it's like Daniel Marcos his opponent, Daniel Marcos, is just more clean, more composed, the longer, lankier fighter. And he knows how to use that length well, can blast those kicks. I've seen Simon Oliveira get his legs kind of tore up a little bit on the Contender Series, and I feel like Daniel Marcos can do similar, if not better, and he's exploit that reach and use it against him. And also having that reach already than a guy making mistakes, just give you more time and more length and more, there's more to do with it. Like, so you already making mistakes, and that got a long guy that's sharper and crisper with his shots, and you're making mistakes out there, or you're being sloppy, he gonna make you pay for it. So I just feel like Daniel Marcos gonna be the edge in this fight. I think he's gonna land the cleaner, polished strikes, and I feel like Simon Oliveira probably gonna get held to maybe like 1 or 2 takedowns and not be as effective as he needs to. So he's gonna get outstruck, probably get maybe 1 or 2 takedowns, but not really be able to establish that control, consistently through 3 rounds, or at least 2 of the 3 rounds, and gonna end up on the wrong side of the scorecard. So in this one, I got Daniel Marcos via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's featherweight division, Josiane Nunes versus Zara Fairn. In reality, Josiane Nunes should be fighting at like strawweight or something, or flyweight or something like. But she's very undersized at this weight class. But nonetheless, she's going in there with a fighter who's pretty much fodder. Like, she'll have a huge height and reach advantage over her. But it's not really. Never been impressed with Zara Fairn's striking. Definitely not her grappling. I feel like Josiane Nunes probably in this fight could look like a grappling stud against Zara Fairn. That's just how far gone her that's just where her grappling. Well, Fairn's grappling is very below average in any division. So yeah, I just feel like Josiane Nunes just got a pulse and Zara Fairn doesn't. And also Nunes is like the younger woman as well. So younger, more aggressive, fights with actual purpose. Like Zara Fairn has just been there. And I'm not expecting anything to change for that. I just feel like Josiane Nunes is gonna press her and just be aggressive through 2 rounds. Well, like really the whole fight. She'll be aggressive. Eventually wear on her and put her away in the 3rd round. I'm gonna say like 3rd round TKO. So in this one, I got Josiane Nunes via 3rd round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Warlley Alves versus Nicholas Dalby. And this is a very, very tight matchup, but I'm going Warlley Alves here. I feel like Dalby has all the tools to beat Warlley Alves, but stylistically, how he presents those tools, I don't feel like it presents itself in a way that I'm going to lean to beat Warlley Alves. I feel like Dalby can be a high cardio, high pace fighter. He hasn't really been that in the UFC, especially not since he returned. He's been able to eke some fights out, but he hasn't been that high pace fighter. Like I say, he has good cardio, could fight a good fight, but he ain't been that guy that's like throwing like 1,000 punches up there, going for 1,000 takedowns or something like that, or even half that number, or even a quarter of that number. In actuality, his volume and output has been probably below average for solid welterweight. So I don't know, and also along with that, Warlley Alves, like I said, can have 2 guys that can stick in there with him and can push a pace on him and can constantly stay in his face. And Nicholas Dalby, like I said, he can push a pace, but I feel like most time when he pushes pace, it's like more so trying to mix in the grappling. Like, he'll throw a couple strikes, then look to try to set up takedowns. And I think Warlley Alves does well against that style, as opposed to a guy that maybe just constantly in your face, just stand right inside the range or right outside the range, or to enter in and just constantly having you have to respond. And I feel like Dalby does that. I feel like, again, Dalby, when he kind of skirts on the outside a little bit, comes in, and when he's really getting aggressive, it's a lot of times mixed in with a grappling focus. And I feel like Warley Alves again does well against that style. And I feel like when Dalby's circling, I feel like he'd be to circle him to big kicks and be the aggressor. Be where Warley Alves is best when he's on the front foot and his opponent's on the back foot. And that's for like again, like Dalby has the tools, but I don't feel like he's going to utilize them in the way he needs to. And that's just not who he has shown to be over his course of his career. And I'm gonna say like Warley Alves second round TKO. Well, I say first round TKO on my thing. So I'm gonna say first round TKO. I feel like he's gonna be a circle him something big, get him out of there early. I feel like Dalby. Matter of fact, I'd say first round guillotine on my prediction. I'm gonna say first round. I'm gonna stick with that first round guillotine. Yeah, first round guillotine. Like Dalby's not gonna press like he needs to press. He's not gonna be on him like he needs to be on him. He's gonna kind of really try to just stay on the outside too much, and Warley Alves gonna take advantage of that, walk him down, and really start to cut him off and land big power shots and force Dalby to, almost panic wrestle and then jump on that padding and guillotine and get him out of there first round. So in this one, I have Warley Alves via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Terrence McKinney versus Ismael Bonfim. And Hasti's one right here is I just think that Bonfim has all the skills and talent to match up with McKinney, and he has shown the ability to go rounds, whereas Terrence McKinney still has not shown the ability to go outside that first round, at least not with no credible competition. So McKinney is a guy, he's been out of the first round, but has he won outside the first round against credible competition? He has not. Or when it has to really go deep, he has not. So I feel like Ismael Bonfim just coming off a good win over a pretty solid guy that was, I think not predicted, but like odds-wise was supposed to lose his fight against a guy that's much more experienced than him and blah, 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 this, blah, blah, that. And he beat him pretty dominantly over the course of 3 rounds, and that was like a pretty big fight for him. Now he's coming with, matter of fact, that guy has probably more experience than both these guys combined. But anyway, my biggest fact is I like the fact that Ismael Bonfim does have a pretty solid boxing background. He does a pretty good well-rounded skill set. He is tough. He is durable. He's not a talent. He's not just a guy that is brought in here to be fodder for McKinney. He's a guy that's like also has prospective and also has talent. Again, I feel like technically he's the better striker. McKinney's the better wrestler, better grappler, but I feel like Bonfim can address the grappling. And I feel like Bonfim can address everything about McKinney. He could address the athleticism, address the first round explosion, and get him out of that round. And then beyond that, it's still very much an X factor or a question mark for McKinney. And until he proves otherwise, I gotta lean with the guy who has shown the ability like to match that talent and to be able to go rounds. And like, again, McKinney has not shown that part, whereas Bonfim has. So I'm going Bonfim to take him out of that first round. Probably a fun, exciting fight through 1.5 maybe. But I start seeing McKinney gassing out when he's not getting that finish materialized, and also getting a little bit sloppy on the feet. And I felt Bonfim's gonna be tighter with his hands, be landing clean shots and buzz McKinney. Then they start to walk him down and just slowly just dissect him as he starts to fatigue and get hurt and weird or damage. I think he puts him away third round. So in this fight, I have Ismael Bonfim via third round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the bantamweight division, Luan Lacerda versus Cody Stamann. And when I look at Luan Lacerda, he has a lot of talent, a lot of potential, but so far has not fought that credible competition. And he's coming in with Cody Stamann, who's a guy who's a tough out for everybody. He has never been an easy one for anyone. I think maybe outside of Said Nurmagomedov, I think just about everybody else has significantly struggled with him. Even like Aljo struggled with him. Merab Dvalishvili really struggled with him. So that's like basically half his losses struggle with him. And I know somebody else who beat him struggle with him. Can't really think of his name. But yeah, outside Said Nurmagomedov, I think nobody else had an easy time. The guy has a sturdy chin. He got a guy you could just, I stuff his takedowns, I knock him on the feet. The guy got a sturdy chin. He got hella cardio to wrestle you all day. Physically strong. Like, so he has a lot of natural gifts, and then he has, like I say, he has pretty much all stuff you need to be a tough fight for anyone. And you got like Luan Lacerda coming there. Like a lot of talent, but still make a lot of those youthful mistakes out there, being aggressive, going for submission, going for strikes on the feet, which will leave you open. And I think Stamann can utilize the BJJ if he has him on his back. I feel like Stamann can hold his own with him on the feet. And I feel like Stamann can score takedowns. Again, take advantage of that aggression, score takedowns, win minutes, and win the decision. So in this fight, I got Cody Stamann via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the heavyweight division, Jelton Almeida versus Shamil Abdurakhimov. And how I feel about this one right here is I think Shamil has just been brought in as a stepping stone just for Jelton Almeida to showcase on. And I feel like Jelton Almeida is probably going to, gain his respect, maybe a little power shot, a little front kick or something, and just blast, put him on the back. And I feel like once Shamil gets down, it's going to be hard for him to get up. He has never really shown the ability to get taken down by, like a not. I think Andre Arlovski took him down and he got up from him. But Andre Arlovski, like 90 years old, been fighting for like 200 years. So I said 90 years old, been fighting for 200 years. But anyway, Andre Arlovski's up in age and like he really uses his grappling. And he probably just don't want to waste energy. But going there with Jelton Almeida, a real high level black belt, young and in his prime, and strong, heavy on top. He's gonna be in that situation where like he's been like at least 2 or 3 times where he's on his back and he can't get up. Like I think Derrick Lewis put him on his back, knocked him out. I think what's his name? Like it was like a weird type of thing. Like he just fell. I think not Sean Jordan, but I forget the name. But yeah, he like heavyweight. Duh, he's a heavyweight. Everybody both it's a heavyweight fight, but yeah, I'm forgetting the dude's name, but kind of like a wrestler dude. Just end up in like a scramble that ended with Abdurakhimov on his back, and he's got I think mollywopped in like a minute or something. But anyway, going in with Jelton Almeida, that guy's has the grappling ability, he has the takedown ability. He's gonna put him on his back, and Shamil is not gonna be able to get back up, or he's gonna struggle to get back up. And if he does get back up, he can get put back down. Now ultimately, I see the situation ending in the first round. Him getting on his back, getting punched in the mouth, turning to give up his back, and then Jelton Almeida sinking in the hooks, choking him out first round. So in this one, I have Jelton Almeida via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Gabriel Bonfim versus Moreno Lazzez. And how I feel about this one is very, very tight matchup, but I got to go Gabriel Bonfim to beat Moreno Lazzez. Moreno Lazzez, I think, is definitely the better striker, but I think Gabriel Bonfim is overall the more polished fighter. Well, I'm not going to say more polished, but the more well-rounded fighter, and he's polishing those other areas, not like he just sloppy here, sloppy there. And he's only going to get better. I also think, I don't feel like Moreno Lazzez is going to bring anything new into this fight. I feel like at this point, I just feel like he is who he is. But I feel like Gabriel Bonfim can literally come in this fight and potentially look like, oh, this guy could be a star. This guy could potentially challenge the Kamzats and the Shavkats down the line. Well, I'm not gonna say he is, but I'm saying he could potentially show that. When you got these younger fighters who has all these skills, like they can look a little bit raw, a little bit rusty in some areas, look a little bit look a little bit rough. Then next thing you know, they get this UFC shot, and then from like the contender series or wherever they come from, next fight they look like a whole different beast, and that's a big factor. So already tight matchup, but you got a younger fighter in Bonfim, the fighter who actually has real potential to move up in his weight class and beat up in his weight class versus Lazzez, who I feel like at the end of the day, he probably be a guy that's gonna stall out and never really truly get a ranking in this weight class. Probably be win one, lose one type dude. A lot of talent, but yeah, I just feel like his ceiling has already been established with Bonfim. It's just so much more upside to him. I feel like he has the better hands. One of those overall has the better striking, but I feel like he can mix those hands in there. They'll be able to mix in the takedown and really look to control and latch on to Lazzez at points in this fight. Take minutes off the clock. Look to exploit him in the grappling. I know Lazzez has worked on some wrestling in BJJ and worked on his defense, but I don't think his defense is all that great as some people try to make it out to be. I think it's okay to not just be on his back and then punch in the face for like 15 minutes of a fight, but still a case where his takedown defense. And also, like, who has really truly tested it any recently? Only guy that could bring up is Eldarov, who's not really all that great, to be honest. Not UFC caliber. And yeah, so I think Bonfim could exploit that. And I saw him able to not even, like I said, not need to score takedowns, but be able to initiate clinches and still get takedowns at points or get half takedowns. Either way, put him in a position where he can't attack and you're in control. And I feel like Bonfim can exploit similar avenues. Especially probably even better because he does have a higher level of BJJ. It's not just wrestling. He can look to create those same situations and jump, take the back or something. Or like they say, when you got BJJ along with the grappling, you can do a lot more than maybe the guy who's just a wrestler who could just kind of really stall. You can high level stall. Like there's so much more avenues when you got BJJ as well. So all I'm satisfied Gabriel Bonfim is going to be able to mix in the boxing, pressure, lock him up, drain time off the clock, and it's really just mix it up and make Lazzez just had to respond a lot in this fight. Or have Lazzez just responding in this fight where Bonfim is actually establishing the control and having Moreno Lazzez play player B and having to respond to everything Bonfim is doing. So close fight, but I think Bonfim has more tools and he'll use those more tools to get his hand raised. So in this one, I got Gabriel Bonfim via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the lightweight division, Thiago Moises versus Mel Quaisel Costa. And with this one, I'm going Thiago Moises. I just feel like Mel Quaisel Costa, he's tough and all, he's well-rounded and all, but Moises is literally like clearly night and day. Like I feel better than him in every area. But again, the toughness and well-roundedness will keep him in the fight, I feel. But Moises will probably outstrike him, mix the takedowns, be a case where he just like, big brothers him. Like he just a step ahead and just, really largely just doing whatever he wants to in the fight, except getting the finish. Like I said, he'll look for it, but again, Costa will be tough on the feet. He'll get hurt, but he'll hang with him there. He'll be on the ground. Like Moises attacking, but Costa doing a good job defending. But again, mostly defending this fight and keeping himself in the fight, but not winning the fight. And Moises probably just shut him out on the scorecards. Maybe even like a 10-8 round in there. So in this one, I got Thiago Moises via decision. Now to our next fight, we have in the middleweight division, Gregory Rodrigues versus Bruno Ferreira. In high season right here, I'm going Gregory Rodrigues. I feel like Bruno Ferreira I don't see nothing special about him. I see another like guy that's just gonna not go very far in any weight class. He somehow managed to make it to welterweight. Don't see it see him getting flatlined and probably put out. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't see that welterweight career going very far. Try to bulk up the light heavyweight, gonna be even tinier at light heavyweight, and it's not gonna matter. Middleweight is like really he just kind of sandwiched in middleweight, and he just wanted like short, stocky, power grapplers. And again, that won't go very far in this weight class or really any weight class right now. Or maybe he was like bigger or something and had that style and go to lightweight and he had the cardio with that and stuff. He could have success at lightweight because we saw Khabib kind of have, I'm not saying they have similar style, but Khabib, being limited in a way overall in skill set. And you kind of, if you were like the larger man and you had a frame that could really cut down to, matter of fact, his frame really probably could cut down on lightweight, maybe lay off some weedy, lay off some of that muscle milk or something. He could maybe make a lightweight just with that frame, but it'll be a stretch. And then probably won't be the healthiest stretch. And it's end up with him probably just been drained, having no cardio, getting him knocked out even easier. I mean, he's undefeated, and he hasn't been stopped or anything. But yeah, when I look at his frame and his skill set right now, I just don't see longevity or great success in his career. And Gregory Rodrigues can definitely hold his own, if not beat him in the grappling department. Has his length, has his size. Really, Bruno Ferreira is really just coming in here potentially a puncher's chance, or just a chance, maybe a submission chance, puncher chance. But overall, Greg Rodrigues is clearly the better fighter, clearly the better striker. Ferreira just still got that starter pack striking, like in UFC 2, UFC 1, where they act like you've been be punching the bag all day long, sparring all day long, but punches like slow as a mug and be like gasp for every time you throw them. I'm not saying he like that exactly, but wide, loopy, sloppy shots, like amateur striking. But the fact the guy's so explosive and grab heavy, but the technique on the feet is definitely beyond sloppy. I think Rodrigues is gonna be able to address the grappling and be able to land like this. Really, like again, really just drag him out of the first round. That's what he's gonna do. Drag him out of the first round. He could potentially get him out in the first round, but I feel like he's gonna drag him out of the first round and just continue to tag him, be in his face, landing shots, and then from there start to exploit a worn down fighter in the grappling department. Like I said, knock some belts on him. Like hit him with a punch, turn him to a brown belt. Hit him with another punch, turn him into a purple belt or something. Turn him to a blue belt. Turn that man to a white belt. Then turn that man into a walk-in. Like keeping him with shots and just wear him down. Let him miss it with these sloppy shots and make him pay for these sloppy shots. Beat on him, and then start to exploit the grappling, and then tap him out in the second round. So in this one, I got Gregory Rodrigues via second round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Mauricio Shogun Rua versus Ihor Potiera. In high season right here, I'm going Ihor Potiera. Shogun, without a doubt, is far better fighter, but man should have retired like 10 years ago, to be honest. Should have, was that 2013? Yeah, that would have been, because he got dogged out by John Jones in 2011. So 2013, that's like 2013, 2015, I feel like that's probably the time he should retire. Like now we in 2023, like almost a whole decade. Well, definitely over a decade since he got sparked up by John Jones, but he still had some life in him probably a couple years after John Jones. Definitely still far from his prime at that point, or far from his best, really not from his prime, but, well, at least the average prime, but as far as from his best, he was far from it. But yeah, so. Anyway, a guy that's talking about retirement, up there in age, going there with a young, hungry guy who's probably going to train the hardest he ever trained for, even knowing that he's going with a guy that's really on half a leg, and Ihor Potiera is going to push aggressively and get him out in their first round, or definitely within the distance, but I say first round. Shogun got a pause because Ihor Potiera just not that good of a fighter, but Shogun's far past his expiration date, so I gotta go with the young, hungry man who's gonna be aggressive, and I see him put him out first round. So in this one, I have Ihor Potiera via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the light heavyweight division, Paul Craig versus Johnny Walker. And how I see this one right here is I think Johnny Walker could address the grappling of Paul Craig. I don't think he should go out there and have a full grappling matchup. And also, Paul Craig's offensive takedowns aren't the greatest. He could try to pull guard, even especially if you try to pull guard against Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker is a pretty solid grappler in his own right, has pretty extensive experience in BJJ and whatnot. So Paul Craig is definitely the better grappler, but in the MMA sense, Johnny Walker can, he can address the grappling. Like, he try to pull guard on him. Johnny Walker is more than comfortable to probably be able to neutralize the submissions and get back to his feet. Or maybe exploit maybe some eagerness of Paul Craig to pull guard and maybe steal a half guard or something, jump to like half guard and jump to side control, or just like exploit Paul Craig's eagerness to pull guard. Like, so that might work with guys that BJJ really ain't there. I'm not saying Johnny Walker's like some BJJ god or anything, but he's a guy that's BJJ has definitely been at points in his career a larger focus and still within his game. So all I'm saying, like, he's solid enough to be able to deal with Paul Craig's grappling when he's in the more advantageous or the top positions. Obviously, don't want his back taken or nothing, but maybe even in some of those situations, I still would like Johnny Walker to be able to address the situation. But all I'm trying to say is, I feel he can address the grappling of Paul Craig. And I feel like Paul Craig on his side, a lot of times can, just mentally check out in these fights. I think that's what will happen. Johnny Walker will bring a lot of tools, probably blast him heavy with leg kicks, blast him heavy with body kicks. Paul Craig just gonna start to probably either just freeze up on the feet or just start to, like, I'm trying to say, like, this hysterically pull guard and just like he's gonna go into a very reactive state. This off how Johnny Walker's size, Johnny Walker's unorthodoxness, the power of Johnny Walker. It just a lot of stuff just come from weird angles. He's not gonna really know how to respond to them. I feel like first he's gonna come in confident. Once he starts to see like man bounce up in the air, don't flying knees, front kicks, spinning back kicks, and just feel that weight for that size, and just not really be able to find what he was looking for. Like, because the guy's so awkward. I feel like Paul Craig's gonna go back to that state where he just kind of cracks out there, and I feel like Johnny Walker's gonna exploit that. And I see him put him away in the first round. So address the grappling, make him uncomfortable, and then once he starts to crack, help him out that door, hit him with something big he don't see, and then follow up ground and pound, first round TKO for Johnny Walker. So in this one, I got Johnny Walker via first round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the women's flyweight division, Jessica Andrade versus Lauren Murphy. And how I see this one right here is going Jessica Andrade. Lauren Murphy's a tough fighter, but that's about all she is. Jessica Andrade is one of the best. She's only loses to the best, at least at 125 on down. I feel like 135, she can lose to some not the best competition. Like, the best competition, but not like, world champion level. She can lose some people that's not that at 135, but 145. But I feel like when she lost those fights at 135, that was so long on. She has improved since then. So even probably at 135, she could probably get to a title shot for real. And definitely at 145, given that it just bums at 145. She go, but yeah, for sure, her track record has shown at 125, 115, she only loses to the very best. And Murphy, I feel like Murphy's offensive wrestling ain't great, so Andrade can address her wrestling. Really, all Murphy can hope to do is try to make this fight as ugly as possible and hope to tire her down, but Andrade has shown the ability to go around, so really, it's no real angle for Murphy, to be honest, from what I'm saying. I don't see no real angle for Murphy. No real reason to feel concerned about picking Andrade or going all in on Andrade. I don't see no real issue. So I feel like Andrade is going to be too much for her, be to neutralize everything that Murphy brings and just constantly start to, be Andrade, just walk her down, mix her up on the feet, female John Lineker her, just start stalking her, picking her apart, and just mixing her up. But Murphy being tough, I feel like she'll make it probably through some couple rounds, but get put away. Matter of fact, I'm gonna say second round. Make it through a round and then get put away like late in the second round, almost kind of around the bell, like probably with like 30 seconds left. But gonna try to hold on for long as you can, but the ref gonna see enough and they're gonna pull Andrade off her. So in this one, I got Jessica Andrade via second round TKO. Now to our next fight, we have in the welterweight division, Gilbert Burns versus Neil Magny. And with this one, it's already track work. Look at every solid grappler, BJJ black belt. Damian Maia tapped him out, made him like easy work. RDA just like kicked his leg out and tapped him out with like 20 seconds of him falling to the ground. Sergio Moraes took him down with ease and tapped him out in like a minute, 2 minutes. So Magny goes in with like a real solid stud BJJ black belt. He gets made to look like easy worker. Even like training, you see Kamzat Chimaev, who's not a black belt, tooling him up on the ground. Shavkat Rakhmonov, I'm combining the names. Yeah, that isn't it. No, it's not Shavkat. It's Shavkat Rakhmonov. I was saying, what's his name? Anywho, Shavkat Rakhmonov pretty much tooled him up on there. Then Gil Burns will tool him up on the ground. I feel like Gil Burns will go out there, probably touch him with something heavy. The track record's already there. Blast him level chain. And Gil Burns has some very underrated wrestling, very explosive. I think he'll be able to get him to the mat, and I think he'll be able to make quick work of him on the mat. Just slide right through his guard, do whatever he wants to him on the ground, and gets him out of there first round. So in this one, I have Gilbert Burns via first round submission. Now to our next fight, we have in our co-main event in the flyweight division for the undisputed flyweight title. In the quadrilogy, the end to it all, Deiveson Figueiredo versus Brandon Moreno 4. And how I see this one right here is, I feel like it's going to play out a lot like the other fights. As long as Deiveson Figueiredo's in good shape, which I think he is. It's been some time since he's fought, but I think he'll come in game. I think he'll be ready to go 5 rounds for as long as it goes. And I do think this goes, I do think this goes 5 rounds, but yeah. I feel like Moreno's going to come out there and push a higher pace per usual. Probably land 10, 20 more strikes, probably 10, 15 more strikes. But Figueiredo, again, is going to be able to win minutes in this fight. Probably look to score some takedowns, maybe try to create situations with some submission attempts, just to create situations, just mix stuff in there. But ultimately, I think the big thing comes down to the fact that Figueiredo's going to have that power like he always has, and he's going to be able to land these big shots and still minutes back or still rounds back with drops or putting Moreno on skates for temporarily. But yeah, I feel like those big shots will be the steal rounds. And I feel like Figueiredo, even without the big moments, will be able to steal rounds, or not even steal, just take rounds. Then the rounds that are crucial, I feel like, Figueiredo will probably win a round or two off of just out-striking, out-working Moreno, like just legitimately win the round. Like outland maybe land cleaner shots throughout. At the cleaner clip as well, which he has done in, I think, every fight lands a cleaner clip. And then, again, and when he needs it to, he will land those big shots that will shift the fight his way or take the rounds. And I think I see a similar theme as maybe the last fight. And I see Figueiredo winning a very, very tight matchup over Moreno. But Moreno will be game per usual. I think he matches up with him well, and that's why they're in a 4th fight, because they match up well. Again, Moreno will bring some good skills, but I don't feel like either fighter will have significantly evolved, and I have not seen no great evolution from either fighter. So I see a similar fight playing out and Figueiredo winning by another tight matchup. Just with those big moments and, winning some rounds, and then when needed, we get in those big moments to win those crucial rounds or that crucial round to get his hand raised. So in this fight, I have Deiveson Figueiredo via decision. Now to our main event, we have in the light heavyweight division for the undisputed light heavyweight title, Glover Teixeira versus Jamal Hill. And now this one right here is Glover Teixeira overall is just a better fighter, but I'm going Jamal Hill to get him out in the second round. I think age is a big factor. The man kind of talk about retirement, talk about unretirement, just blah, blah, blah. Like, so we don't know where his head at. Either way, Glover is probably retiring within 2 years max, probably really a year. If he loses fight, probably retires after this fight. And he's able to get this bounce back to this title shot because the, advantageous situation where the belt got vacated because of an injury to Jerry Prohaska, and then Magomedov Ankalaev and Jan Blachowicz went to a draw. So he's getting this advantageous position to bounce back into a title shot, or a position to fight for the undisputed title or vacated title. But yeah, let me just say, he got the more well-rounded skill set. He can match. He can hold his own with him on the feet. He can take him down. And he has that BJJ advantage. He has that experience advantage. But age is not kind. In the same way with the Jerry Prohaska fight, that was his chance to, get that big win over a guy who could potentially rule for some time and add a big stamp on his legacy or another big win on his legacy. But he choked in the final seconds, and I just feel like that choking right there just kind of sealed his career, or at least his chances at, getting another title. As weird as it sounds like, that was one fight, you go to the next fight, if anything, you could take motivation for the fact that he is as old as he is, and he was able to go as hard as he did with Jerry Prohaska, who's supposed to be this new young guy. Yes, he lost, but he was winning up until then. But I was like, when you at that age and are really, even if you like 30, 33, you get that big moment, or 35, and you get that big moment, and you just choke like that. I feel like rarely do fighters ever rebound from that. But all in all, I feel like Jamal Hill can not address the wrestling and grappling of Glover Teixeira, but I feel like he'll do a better job than people are expecting at dealing with that. I still think it's a very tight matchup for as long as it lasts. But I feel like once Jamal Hill starts to find the openings in Glover Teixeira, and Glover Teixeira starts to wear some of the power of Hill, I just see like the fight quickly and drastically shifting in Jamal Hill's way. I feel like early on will be a real tight matchup through the first. And Glover Teixeira probably will find some success, probably will get a takedown, probably will put Jamal Hill in some questionable positions or some dangerous positions, less than advantageous positions for Jamal Hill in that first round. But ultimately, I feel like Jamal Hill will be able to weather it and address it, stay calm and stay composed, and be able to get through that first round. Then I think the second round started to come in. I started to see Jamal Hill probably more on his bikes, working behind that jab, making Glover Teixeira have to cover more distance, and then having Glover Teixeira walk into counters, and then started to put a boxing clinic on him. And then again, once he starts to feel that power and feel those sharpness of the shots from Hill, I see Hill just, like I said, snowfall from that point. And I see Hill seeing blood and Teixeira not being able to recover, and Hill just put it on him and get him out of there second round. So in this fight, I have Jamal Hill via second round TKO. And that concludes my fight predictions for the full card of fights for UFC 283, Teixeira versus Hill. And as always, thanks for watching.